Hey, my name's Tim. This is my first video for YouTube. I've been asked by my family and even a few Instagrammers that follow me to start a YouTube channel, so here it goes. And for the three of you that will watch this, thank you. I am a Christian, a father, a husband. I love my family, I love God, I love my country. I served in the United States Navy for 10 years. That was quite a few years ago, but I was a submariner, nuclear power plant operator, and what's the best marine? A submarine. Okay, so I love all of my brothers and sisters who served, who have served, who are serving, and who will serve in whatever branch of the military you choose to serve in. It's awesome. I support you 100%, and thank you for your service. I live in Florida, Central Florida, but I travel a lot for my work. I build and commission and start up power plants, water plants, and things like that. I've built plants in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, Oklahoma, in Florida, in Ohio. Now I'm in Salem, Massachusetts. Probably one of the worst places. Believe it or not, after having been to Saudi and Kuwait, I think Salem may be one of the worst places that I've been to build a power plant. Anyway, today is March 25th, Sunday. It's the day after the March for Life or whatever it was. Now, if you don't like pro-gun, pro-God, pro-family, pro-America videos, you can just turn me off right now. I'm not interested in your comments. I'm not interested in your negativity. It doesn't, your opinion matters nothing to me. I am very much a patriot. I believe in the principles that the Founding Fathers established when they wrote and drafted and ratified the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights. So if you're not into that stuff, this isn't for you. I'm amazed at the last 2-3 weeks, whatever it is, that we've had this this show, this carnival going on in America. Every day, all day, every channel, you see two people. You see this Hogg kid and the Gonzalez girl. You don't see opposition, and when you do, they are not given the same type of courtesy or the same time to explain themselves. I mean, look at the farce that was called a town hall that CNN pulled against Dana Loesch. It's ridiculous. But I'm not going to bash those kids, not too much, even though I think the Hogg kid is really getting on my nerves. But they're being manipulated. They're young and stupid. They don't even understand they're being manipulated, or if they do, they're just using it for their 15 minutes of fame. And they're going to realize real quick that once the media is done with them, they're going to drop them like hot potato, and they're going to be left wondering what the heck just happened. I was a big star before, and now look at me. I'm nothing. I got to go back to being a high school student. So I think that their whole platform is misguided. They picked the AR-15 as the boogeyman. It was used in that shooting. And I did a little research yesterday. And I know we can all go and we can look at people that have already done massive amounts of research on this, anywhere from NRA contributors to John Lott, and a lot of other pro Second Amendment people have done massive amounts of research on gun violence in America, and even lots of people overseas. A lot of British publications on gun violence in the United States. There's some French publications on gun violence, but I wanted to kind of do it myself just to see, because I tend to support and believe the more conservative view, and I think that they are more honest in their assimilation of data and how they present it. So I looked at both the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and the FBI's websites, and they have an extensive set of data on crime, violence. CDC goes into a lot more than crime. CDC has all reasons for death in the United States. And yesterday I was concentrating on 2015 because that's the really the latest year where they have all the data and they've really assimilated everything and it's all complete. They do have data for last year, but it's not complete. They're still putting together some of it. But what I found on both websites basically is that, and you can go, you don't have to believe me, you don't have to believe John Lott, you don't have to believe any of the NRA people, but believe your own eyes. Unless you don't believe that they're putting actual correct data out there. If you don't believe that, then, well, I can't help you. But they agree with each other in their numbers. There is a little differences in their numbers, but it's minor. And the number of shootings that occur, the number of murders that occur due to shootings are about the same on both sets of data. But the biggest thing I saw, and I knew this because I've looked at it before, but I just wanted to verify it for one solid year and really just crunch the data, is that the rifle, and we're not just talking AR-15, we're talking rifles of all types. That includes lever action, bolt action, semi-automatic, single shot rifles, everything. Accounts for the fewest number of deaths annually, not just for 2015. If you go back, I mean, you can go back years and years and years, and it's the same. Rifles account for the least numbers of any other causes, including knives and cutting instruments. Knives and cutting instruments are used to murder people 3 times more often than rifles of all types. Hands, fist, and feet. And the FBI has this neat little asterisk beside it. It says, and other. And if you go and you find out what other is, they're talking about shoving. So shoving people off a building, shoving people in front of a car, shoving people in front of a bus, that kind of thing. That accounts for more deaths than rifles of all types. It's not until you get down into the poisonings and burnings, the arsons and things like that, where the numbers come down below rifles. But bats, hammers, any type of blunt force trauma, more murders caused by that than rifles of all type. So the singling out of the AR-15 is beyond disingenuous. It's ridiculous. And let's talk about other types of deaths. The FBI really doesn't track traffic deaths and things like that. They're mostly, they're 100% crime. But the CDC does. And if you look at traffic deaths by teens, there's approximately 9.5, somewhere in there, a day, teens that are killed on our highways and our roads, primarily due to distracted driving. And the primary cause for distracted driving is the cell phone. They're either texting, they're checking Instagram, they're checking Facebook, something like that. Either way, they're not paying attention to what they're doing on the road. 9.5, that means that every 2 days, less than every 2 days, more teens die on the road than died down in Broward County. Now, I'm not trying to minimize school shootings. School shootings are horrific and they should never happen. Our kids should never be in a position to where they're facing a gunman in school, or anywhere for that matter. But to put it in perspective, if we're going to protest, if we're going to have a nationwide protest, and if it's genuinely because we're concerned and we want to protect our kids, we picked probably the least damaging, or one of the least damaging causes to protest, and that's the AR-15. It's not an issue. It's not a problem in the United States. There's about 300 people each year, or less, that die due to murders with AR-15s. Far more that die on the roads. Far more that die due to other causes than the AR-15. So the whole march, the whole program, and you know what? any of you patriots, any of you Second Amendment supporters that are watching this, you know this already. This is not new to you. You know that it's a load of garbage, what's being pushed on the American public. The problem is the American public is stupid, and they believe this stuff, and they base decisions on emotion instead of fact. And seeing little kids cry, seeing moms and dads cry, that pulls on the heartstrings, and it does mine too. I mean, I can't imagine how I would feel if I was in that kind of position, but I think I'd like to adopt the stand of the one father down there who never gets any airtime, who is basically saying, look, this is not a Second Amendment issue. It's not an issue with the gun. Why did the FBI fail? And that's not being asked in this March for Life or March for whatever it is. Why did the Broward County Sheriff's Department so completely and totally fail in every way they could possibly fail? They failed. Not just in the pre-shooting stages where they failed to arrest this kid or put him on a list where he can't get a gun, but they failed during the shooting too, when the coward of Broward refused to go in. And we see that in the Maryland shooting that happened about a week ago, that a good guy with a gun can stop that. He can minimize the damage that's done. And he did. So the whole march, the whole thing screams of leftism and progressivism. Now, I personally believe that, again, if you're a leftist or a progressive, you're not going to want to hear this because you're mentally unstable. I think that leftism is a mental disease. I think that the people that we need to really be looking at and scrutinizing are the leftist progressive socialists who have invaded and dominated the left side of our political spectrum for decades now. And it's like a cancer. It's growing and growing, and there's only one way to treat a cancer. You got to eradicate it, irradiate it, whatever. It has to be dealt with, and we haven't dealt with it as a nation. It's coming soon. We're going to have to deal with it soon, I feel. The Tree of Liberty. We all know the Tree of Liberty. It's very, very thirsty. And at some point in our future, the Tree of Liberty is going to have to be refreshed. I think we're way, way, way past the time when it should have been refreshed already. In fact, the Founding Fathers didn't think that our constitutional republic, and Mr. Hogg, we don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic, always have. In fact, the Founding Fathers hated democracies and said it was the worst form of government ever devised by man. But at some point in time, we're going to have to refresh the Tree of Liberty. And the Founding Fathers, they thought that it would not be but maybe 1 or 2 generations before another revolution was going to happen, because evil men will take over and they will set their nefarious plans in motion to personally gain from political office. And oh my gosh, what do we have today? Political office. We have people that are in a job that pays $174,000 a year. They work for 10 years, and they walk away with $50 million. How the heck does that happen? Well, we know how that happens. It's called graft and illegal activity and money under the table and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to start a series of blogs. I rambled today. I'm going to try, or vlogs. I'm going to try to be more specific in the future. I'm going to try to limit them to about 15 minutes because I think the attention span is about 15 minutes on these things. I know it is for me, unless it's really, really interesting, and I don't think I have anything really interesting to say other than what other people can say much more eloquently. My big fans are, I love Colion Noir. I love all of his videos. I watch Demolition Ranch religiously. Demolition Ranch and Off the Ranch, I love them. I like all the NRA contributors, Dana Lash being my favorite. She's just a firebrand. She doesn't take crap from anybody. So I encourage you, if you're not really watching any of these other people, explore it. Go look and see who's out there and what they're saying. I think you're going to be surprised at how many conservative voices there are out there. We just don't get the airtime. I'm never going to get the news media like this Hogg and Gonzalez kids have. Never. CNN's never going to come to my house and say, hey, what does Tim Smith think about this? It's just not going to happen. That's why we have an NRA. That's why over 5 million of us pay money to the NRA to be our voice, because we don't have the individual voices to make a difference. But collectively, we do. And honestly, I'm a little upset with the NRA, and that comes with another video. But thanks for watching, and I'll put another one up soon.